For 10 years, I was paying a tax on my business and I didn't even know it. Not a tax the government charges, a tax I was charging myself. Every supplier I was too polite to renegotiate with. Every client I let pay late because I felt it was rude to remind them. Every contract I was quietly hoping would resolve itself. Then, in 2015, my investor forced me to hire a CFO. 2 months later, in a meeting, he showed me what I'd been doing. And since then, I've stopped doing it. This is the story of the hire I fought the hardest against. And the best business decision I ever lost. So let me set the scene first. In 2015, I was a co-founder of an online real estate marketplace called Mesto in the Ukraine. We had just pivoted the year before from holiday homes rental to general residential, and it was a success. We were the biggest platform by far. Our closest competitor was 2 times smaller than us. We were the market leader in listings, over 1 million monthly sessions, growing triple digits year on year. Top spots on Google and Yandex was actually bigger at the time. Life looked good. We were doing all the right things. But we were also burning money. We were profitable on attention, not on cash so far. And that's why we were raising this other round. We closed the deal in December 2014. We were negotiating the whole year. The money arrived in the bank account in January. Our new investor was a strategic partner. It was a Danish publicly held media company that had built a successful online marketplace in Denmark. They had even sent their top 2 real estate guys to work with our team, see how everything's doing, and come up with a plan together. And after 3 days, they sat me down and said, "You need a CFO." I said, "I need more sales." They said, No, you need a CFO." And I said, "Why?" And they said, "You'll see." And that was it. And there I was sitting and contemplating, thinking, okay, so you guys have come in, given me your investment, and now a chunk of that is going to a hire that you want and that I think is only going to do reporting for you because you're a publicly traded company, and by the 7th of every single month, because of that, you need to have consolidated accounts across the whole group, and you need a reporting person. That's what I thought he would be doing. That's what I understood. That part was admin. That part was necessary, but I didn't think it was necessary to hire a CFO for it. So I was thinking, I'm going to get a reporting person. Maybe they'll take the admin work off my plate, and maybe they'll get the investor meetings off my plate as well. But that was all of that I was expecting. And I wasn't happy about it. But that was my first mistake. The assumption, not the argument. So I'll give myself this. Once we had decided that we needed a CFO, I was adamant that it had to be somebody that came out of the startup world because they would get their hands dirty. And we went out shopping, and we ended up with 2 candidates, and then one of the candidates dropped off, and the candidate that I was left with, it really clicked between us. We have a similar sense of humor, very British, very dry. We have a similar taste in music. We both like concerts. And he told me of a story that he was doing while he was working in Ernst & Young, where he was with a farmer looking at the agricultural business, wearing rubber boots in mud with a laptop, looking at spreadsheets and calculating how all of these things are working, the stuff that they're harvesting. And that led me to understand that this guy is going to roll up his sleeves and get his hands dirty on the business. That's why I decided to hire him. That story sold me more than his CV. So the first day he arrives, he does something very unexpected. He didn't ask for reports. He didn't ask to talk to the accountant. He said, "You and me into this meeting room for the rest of the week." And then he had me walk through everything. Every small detail. How does that work? How does this work? Show me all the systems. How are you tracking things? How are you analyzing things? Have you got any dashboards for these things? What are the roles and what are the people involved in all of these processes? What are the conversion rates? What are the budgets? What are the supplier terms? Everything. It was like copy-pasting my whole knowledge of the business into his brain. And here's the thing I didn't know I was missing. For 4 years, I had been building something where I was the smartest person and the only one with all the knowledge of how the business works. That was by default, not by design. Not because I was special, but because everybody else had their own roles and their own zones of responsibility. And suddenly, there was somebody else in the room that wanted to know everything on my level. And it was actually a relief, a general relief. Now I could bounce back and forth between another person and have a second opinion on everything. Finally, someone pushing back on my thinking. We were working 12-hour days, also on the weekends, but honestly, it was one of the most fun times that I had during that business. Then week 2 started, and it got kind of uncomfortable. He sat down with every single person in the company for like half a day, asking them, how does this work? Challenging it. How long does it take? What are the steps? What's the output? And of course, people didn't love it because he wasn't just mapping their work. He was also judging, do these processes still make sense or can we upgrade them? Because some of these processes were set up from the get-go and hadn't been revisited at all. So he was challenging every single one. And here's an example. We had media products like banner advertisement, newsletter placement, these kind of things. I never thought there's going to be a big business, but I thought, let my marketing team have it. It's their thing. They think they can sell it and make some, it's their zone of responsibility. I'm not going to go there. Let them have it. But with him, together, we decided that it's the wrong strategy and we completely got rid of that product, cleaned up the website. And what happened was that the conversion rate of the website went up. We would go on to regain the money from our core business. There was a tough month in there. People felt personally challenged. They didn't like the pushback, and they were starting to get a little bit frustrated. But it wasn't personal, and I made it clear to the team. This isn't about you, it's about what you're adding to the company, and let's upgrade your skill set or upgrade what you're doing. Your job is safe. Someone has to revisit processes and systems once in a while. It's healthy. Things move on, tech evolves. Some of these things become redundant. I didn't handle it well at the time, neither did my team. But it was a great learning curve. But the moment it all really clicked for me wasn't that. It was something else. A few months in, we hit a cash crunch. In 2015, we had signed a big TV media rev share deal wherein we wanted to convert the platform from a freemium to a paid platform. It was a huge budget commitment. The whole campaign was based on us converting at a certain rate. We didn't hit the targets. It flopped. And we were locked into a contract we couldn't afford with the media company. I had been avoiding a conversation for weeks, but my CFO, through his network, knew some of the guys in the media company from his previous work. So he said, let me organize a meeting and let's go meet them. I was scared shitless. Because what do you say? Sorry, we can't pay, and that's it? That felt like admitting we'd failed and there's no solution. So I'd been sitting on it, thinking about it, hoping something better would come out, but nothing really did. Then we went into the meeting, and I let him lead the meeting. And he just sat there. No drama, no apology, no shame. Just, here's where we are, here's what happened with the campaign, here's what we can realistically play, in the schedule that we can do. Can we make this work? And that was it. And they said yes. Later that day, we were having lunch, and I asked him, how can you keep your cool like that? And he said, it's just a question of money and time. For financial people, that's a normal Tuesday. And at the end of the day, people want to get paid. And if you come to them with a solution, instead of just the problem, most of the time they'll renegotiate and they'll settle. And that's the moment it landed. Remember I told you about the self-imposed tax? Well, this is it. This is what I was missing all the years that I was in business. I could just suddenly see it. Every avoided conversation, every locked-in contract, every supplier I was too polite to push back on. I had confused politeness with professionalism, and it had cost me years. He hadn't been rude on that meeting. He was direct and honest. And the media company didn't hate us for it. They actually respected him for it. And the meeting ended up with a handshake instead of a fist fight. And that was when I understood what a CFO actually does. I thought a CFO would be reporting on what had happened in the past, living in reports. Someone just looking at what happened last month and the month before that. But he wasn't looking backwards. He was looking at the business as a machine that could be tuned or replaced or upgraded. Every system, every supplier, every process. And just asking, is this still paying its rent? And when he found something that wasn't, whether it was a media deal, a supplier, a role, a pricing structure, he didn't tolerate it. He fixed it fast. That's the job. That was the job I had argued against. That was the expensive hire I thought would be a waste of money. Honestly, one of the best investments I've ever made. Now, he didn't stay forever. He left after about 2 years because he actually grew tired of finances and he wanted to do something completely different. So he left to build something else. But the things he taught me stayed. Every business I touched since then gets the same treatment. Revisit every system, find the one that's not paying its rent, and fix it. Also, track supplier terms because suppliers have a funny way of changing their prices, and sometimes those prices and costs balloon unexpectedly. Keep a short list of your commitments and how they work. And the biggest one, the thing that saved me more money than any framework or spreadsheet, is a healthier view on money conversations. Don't avoid them, have them early, have them directly, and just think of it, it's just a question of money plus time. So fast forward to March 2020, COVID time, zero government support in Ukraine. I had actually just broken my ankle and the ACL in my other leg 2 weeks before that, so I was going nowhere. And I was just looking at this huge tsunami coming. And I knew exactly what our competitors are going to do. They're going to go with a one-size-fits-all offer, probably some kind of promo or discounted price. But I knew from the learnings that that's not the way to do it. We picked up the phone and we called all of our clients individually, just asking, where are you? How are you doing? And that led us to getting back to pre-COVID revenue within 3 months during lockdown. Because we understood where everybody stood individually. We could then map out exactly our incomings, build a plan. The old me, the pre-CFO me, would have probably done the same thing what my competitors did. And this was all coming out of one meeting that I witnessed. And here's why the story matters to me. Most owners that I meet nowadays are kind of like my pre-CFO's me. They're passionate about something, they saw a problem, and they went out there, put their neck on the line, started a business, and are grinding away. And nobody's teaching them these things. Everybody's supposed to figure these things out by themselves. But the thing is, you can't really figure this out on your own without getting burnt. You need somebody to show you or explain it to you. And in general, operators are naive about finance. And you know what? That's not necessarily a bad thing. Because if we understood the full risks of the finances up front, I think even fewer of us would start this journey. You know the saying, 99% of startups fail, but even the 1% that succeeds, they still go through a hell of a rough time. It's a road riddled with cash crunches, tax reports, audit reports, contracts you can't play, and suppliers that change their prices overnight. You are going to go through that. Everyone does. The question is whether you're going into it blind, or with one eye open, or with both eyes open. That is the whole reason why Smoothin exists. Not to replace CFOs, not to pretend you don't need one, but to give you what I got in 2015. An operator's view on finances. The frameworks. The confidence to pick up the phone and say, hey, this is my situation. Let's work it out. I'm not a CFO and I don't want to be one, but I did learn what they do, and I'm teaching it to anyone who'll listen. If you've never experienced what a great CFO would do for your business, Smoothin is the way to do it yourself. Visit Smoothin AI for all the frameworks, everything. A lot of it is for free. And if you want to test the waters, what it would look like if you have a CFO coming in, try the cash flow gap analyzer. I'll put the link in the description. It's the first thing a good CFO would do if they came into your company. You can do it by yourself, minus the monthly budget.